So it does. The encyclopedia from the 1920s, this is the standard reference teaching encyclopedia from Chicago, does have a whole section about airship. My set from the 1890s does not. I have not had a chance to go through the Encyclopedia of World History yet. I will keep an eye out. But this has actually some really cool pictures. So if you're new here, my name's Sandra. I love old books. The insignificant cucks hate me because of it. So we are going over as much history as possible. So we're looking at airship. Resting at Dutch Harbor, Unalaska. Okay. Airmen just before the hop-off at Cloverfield, California. And Native's cabin where Major Martin found food and shelter, U.S. round-the-world flight. So let's go ahead and check it out. Airship. The solution of the problem of flight was the American achievement. The first airplane to fly successfully was built by the Wright brothers of Dayton, Ohio. On December 17, 1903, Orville Wright flew several times in his machine, remaining in the air from 12 to 59 seconds at a time and covering a maximum distance of 852 feet. With an engine of only 16 horsepower, but it was 5 years later when the Wrights were finally recognized as successful inventors, and Wilbur Wright made many exhibition flights in Europe. The greatest speed of the first Wright machine was less than 35 miles an hour, while 20 years later there were airplanes fitted with engines of over 1,500 horsepower, capable of speeds of more than 200 miles an hour. Within that period, airplane flights were made across the Atlantic and from Europe to South Africa and even Australia. The first of these notable flights was that of two Englishmen, Locke and Brown, across the Atlantic in 1919 when they made a non-stop flight in a Vickers Vimy machine in 15 hours, 57 minutes. In the same year, Lieutenant Commander Reed, USN, in a Navy hydroplane or airplane equipped with pontoons for supporting it in water, also succeeded in crossing the Atlantic. Distance, 4,250 miles. Time, 53 hours, 34 minutes. Other great flights followed, the science of aviation and craft heavier than air having been immensely stimulated by the fighting and scouting experiences during the World War. Modern airplanes are capable of remarkable performances. They can carry loads of more than 25 tons, cover immense distances regularly without stopping, and rise to heights above the highest mountains. Every day they fly from one end of Europe to the other, carrying passengers and freight with safety in all kinds of weather except fog, which makes it difficult to land in safe spots. And in the United States, a number of commercial routes have been established, while the U.S. mails are freely transported from the Atlantic coast to the Pacific along routes that give all the principal cities a regular daily air mail service. Commercial airplanes are usually equipped with both wireless telephone and wireless telegraph apparatus. You don't say. The aerial wire is kept rolled up on a drum and is paid out by the pilot when it is necessary to send or to receive a message. Electric current is obtained from a generator driven by the air rushing past the airplane. Sorry. And speed can be transmitted for 50 miles or more. But this means the pilot can be kept informed of his whereabouts in the heaviest fog and may even be directed to a safe landing. So just think, that means that in the early 1900s, he had a wireless telephone in the airplane. But when I walk into Costco, my fucking Wi-Fi shuts off. Like, what on earth? To overcome the great noise of the airplane motor, the pilot or observer wears a helmet with telephone receivers fitting over his ears and rubber cups. It is believed to be quite possible that the aircraft will ultimately be controlled entirely by wireless from the ground, and that even motive power may be conveyed by the same means from ground stations to airplanes in flight. Ooh, not quite. They're like, oh, whoops, that plane just accidentally went down, right? Like, airplanes are of varying types, known chiefly by the number on their wings or sets of planes as a monoplane, biplane, triplane, etc. The planes are curved slightly with the apex of the curve near the front end of each plane. In flight, the wings are slightly tilted to secure the pressure of the wind on the lower surface, which causes the lift. An internal combustion engine, similar in principle to the motor of an automobile, is used to drive the large wooden propeller or air screw, which either pulls or pushes the wings through the air and thus secures the air pressure below the suction above, which results in lift. Airplane control is simple, consisting mainly of two levers operating by the pilot. An upright lever, commonly called the joystick, works the horizontal rudder or elevator, and also the ailerons, I'm not sure, or hinged wingtips. The other lever is a rudder bar operated by the pilot's feet and works the vertical rudder. Both rudders are carried on a framework at the rear of the plane. In addition to these working levers, there are usually switch, ignition, and throttle controls for the gasoline engine. In starting, the airplane is run along the ground for some distance, gathering speed, and is then caused to rise against the wind by inclining the elevator with the joystick. It was funny because it made me think like back when we were in high school, we used to steal my friend's mom's car and it was stick shift. So we would push it down the road and then pop the clutch. Okay, sorry, I digress. At any desired height, a movement of the lever causes the airplane to straighten out and fly on an even keel. For turning in either direction, right or left, the rudder bar is moved and the wingtips are tilted slightly by a similar movement of the upright lever. In landing, the engine is shut off and the airplane glides downward in any direction desired, but it is always brought to earth against the wind. Gliding flights in airplanes without engines were an interesting development of aviation in 1922. The machines were started by man or horsepower from the tops of hills and remained in the air for a considerable time, even rising to a height above that of the start. German airmen made some very successful flights in this manner, but the record of the year was made by I don't have my glasses and I can't see what that says. The letters are weird. Hold on. Maniroli, I'm not sure, a French airman who kept a monoplane in the air at Firle, England, October 21st, 1922 for 3 hours and 22 minutes. Dude, that's crazy. Turning now to airships proper, that is, dirigible balloons or lighter-than-air machines, it may be noted that Germany led the way in their construction and development prior to the Great War, but Britain now has the largest fleet and biggest vessels of this kind. One of these, fitted up for passenger transport, has accommodation for 50 passengers in addition to a crew of 27. Sleeping bunks or folding or Pullman type are provided for travelers, while the dining room and cabin afford every possible comfort during the day. That's crazy. An airship of this type is capable of traveling from England to Australia with stops at important places on the way in less than 2 weeks. The British dirigible R-34, which crossed the Atlantic from east to west and again from west to east in July 1919, holds the record for the longest non-stop flight by a vessel of that type, its record being more than 3,200 miles. The return trip from New York was made in 75 hours. Flight around the world. Early in 1924, the United States Army Service determined to attempt a flight around the world. The decision was made several months in advance, and the undertaking and no detail was overlooked that would contribute to the success of the flight. Douglas World Cruiser planes were selected, each plane having a load capacity of 9,600 pounds, but the average load carry was about 5,000 pounds. The personnel consisted of Major Frederick L. Martin, Commander Alva I. Harvey, Leslie P. Arnold, John Harding, Eric H. Nelson, H. Ogden, Lee Wade, and Lieutenant Lowell H. Smith, second in command. All of the highest type of skilled air pilots and mechanics. The expedition left Seattle on April 1st, 1924 on a journey of 30,000 miles. The route across the Pacific was by way of Alaska and Aleutian Islands to the peninsula of Kamchatka. On April 30th, Major Martin's plane crashed into a mountain in a fog and was wrecked soon after leaving Chignik. Martin and his mechanic were uninjured. Oh, thank God. But it took them 11 days to reach a settlement. Meanwhile, the expedition under command of Lieutenant Smith had gone forward. On May 17th, the three planes landed near Paramashiru, the northernmost island of Japan. Okay, we have a little bit left. Come back for part 2.